Yes, sir. Welcome to Under the Hood Sports. I'm your host with the most, Johnny Hill. And if you don't know me, you should know me. I got a legend in the building. Hey, I met this man at NABJ. Hey, he's a solid overall dude, man. He's in the journalism game. And matter of fact, he works for ESPN. You probably seen him. And also, if you don't know, he is a former athlete. Mr. Skubie Mageza. That I didn't butcher your name, right?
You got it. You got it right, Johnny. What's good, man? Appreciate you for having me on.
Hey man, one thing I appreciate about this man, audience, this man is solid, man. I asked this man at NABJ. If you don't know, that's the National Association of Black Journalists. Of course, I'm a young rising journalist myself, and I just picking his brain, man. And he said he'd like to come on my show and drop jewels, man, and really just tell the audience about the game of broadcasting journalism, because people, every all the time people see athletes, but they really don't necessarily know what a journalist does or what his job description is. So we're gonna dive into that, and we also gonna talk about his playing days, and we're gonna just chop it up, man. So we're grateful to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, man. Let's have some fun. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Okay, let's talk about this, right? What made you, right, want to become a journalist? Because we all know you are a former athlete, and a lot of times athletes, they want to get into this game. So what made you want to translate from being an athlete to being a journalist, man?
I would say for me, man, like most young athletes, you want to go to the league. So it's like, all right, I want to be in the NFL. And I remember in high school, one teacher had a conversation with me that probably, forced me down this path where he said, Scooby, what do you want to be? I'm like, I'm trying to get to the league. Like, simple as that. Then he's like, all right, if that don't work out, what else would you want to do? I was like, all right, well, if I'm not going to be in the NFL, I at least want to talk about the NFL. I still want to be around the game. There's so many teammates that I've had in the past where, if you've been playing since Pop Warner all the way through high school, all the way through college, as soon as you stop playing, it's kind of a shock to your system. And you see it with young NFL players who have recently retired in their 30s because they've been playing this game and you've been within this system of practice, game, recovery, whatever it is, for so long that once you're out of it, you kind of don't know how to move about. So I enjoy the grind of being a sports broadcaster. I enjoy the process, and a lot of it is similar to the game of football and sports within itself. And I just had to stay around the game, and I love sports, and sports have truly defined who I am to the core. So if that's who I am, then why don't I do and get paid for doing me?
For sure, man. Like you said, it's a grind, right? A lot
Yeah.
of people may see you, on ESPN right now, but let's dive into the grind. Go ahead, tell the audience, because you came from Curry College, right?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you when you came out looking for a job in this game, man, where were you at and where were your first stop?
So when I first graduated college, I ended up um, trying to apply for a bunch of on-camera jobs. Those opportunities didn't present themselves. I couldn't get anything. I applied for so many jobs. So I'm a dean's list student. I was in the broadcasting program, everything. So I had the credentials for the most part, but I just couldn't get a gig. My first gig out of college ended up being as a teleprompter worker at Boston 25, and that was from 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. My professor just hit me up on a random day and said, Scooby, there's an opportunity that you could have, and it's a foot in the door opportunity, but you're working 3 a.m. to 11 a.m. So I was like, all right, whatever. It's for me to get my foot in the door. Got there first day, went up to the sports department and said, yo, I'm trying to do what you're doing. So how can I do what you're doing? From there on, they took me under their wing. I ended up going to every New England Patriots media day, home game, just as a shadow, you know. And through that, after he would be done doing his hit, I would then replicate that and do something on camera and just ask for opportunities to get rep. And I was given those and I created my own reel. And I did that for 19 months. And then I moved to Michigan, Alpena, Michigan. And to explain it to people, there's 210 markets in the country, 1 New York, 2 LA, 3 Chicago. So I moved to market 208 because that was the only place that would give me a job. So I went from bottom of the barrel teleprompter to bottom of the barrel in the industry of market 208. And you got to think those markets are based on the size of the city. So that was a city with like 8,000 people. And I had to learn how to cut my own hair because there was only a 30 Black people population and there was no Black barbers around. I was there for 18 months. And it was cool. You got to get your reps. I always say it's about reps, and you're away from your family all that time. The closest big airport to me was Detroit, and that was 4 hours away. So I went home once or twice a year. Didn't see my family that much. And then I moved to market 103 after that contract was done. And in 103, that was in the Quad Cities, Iowa. And I spent 3 years there and then got my opportunity at ESPN. So it was a lot of moving around from Michigan to Quad Cities, Iowa, and then that's right by the Illinois borderline. I also lived in Illinois, and then eventually got out to Connecticut, man. And you just got to pay your dues and be a part of the grind. And I think the local news route is one that definitely drops the flies.
Oh, for sure, man. Let's talk about a little bit because this shows how much of an impact you made during your time in Michigan. I seen that they made a whole goodbye video for you, man. So
Yeah.
so let's dive deep into that. How did that make you feel, man, knowing that you made an impact like you did in the short amount of time you was there?
It was special, bro. It's truly special because at the end of the day, the legacy that you want to be leaving behind at any location you're at is how many lives you've impacted. And I'm very conscious of that. I've had a lot of people impact my life for me to get to this point. So for me to pay it forward, I try to inspire and empower other individuals. I always say those two words because it's important. And as I was there, I made sure to be involved with the community. I made sure to uh, try and make my coworkers' days easier. Try to be somebody who can help others succeed. Try to be somebody who was a light in the newsroom, and that was important to me. So to get that as their reaction to the efforts that I put in was special because it was like, all right, I left a legacy behind here, and I impacted people's lives, and I helped make a difference. And I tried to be a mentor. I tried to just be a shoulder or listen to people, you know, because I've been through it, having moved around to all these different markets and small places by myself. I understand how beneficial it would have been for me to have somebody who shows that type of support that I gave out. So I tried to treat people the way that I would have liked to be treated.
Okay, let's that's amazing, first off. But like let's dive deep into this. How does it feel, right, to have them four letters, man? That ESPN represent that brand. How does that feel, man, to represent the brand?
It's a dream come true, real talk, because once I decided that if I'm not going to be in the NFL, I want to talk about the NFL, which was my senior year in high school. ESPN has always been the dream. And to go to college with the four letters in mind, to be told numerous times that I'm not good enough, that I should probably not work on camera, to get so many no's and rejections when I just tried to get one opportunity, to do all that and end up here at ESPN. It's, you know, just a reflection of what trust the process means and stick to the grind and don't let anybody you know, talk down to your dreams, because it's always been the dream for me, and I'm here and I'm very grateful. So for me, it's a dream come true, and I never take it for granted. I'm never satisfied. When I got here, it was more so now the real work begins, and it still continues on from this point. You got to be like an athlete.
Thanks. But let's talk about dive deeper into that moment. When you first realized that, man, like you're here, what was that moment that made you feel like, man, I'm actually working for ESPN. I'm living my dream.
Probably my first year for the college football playoff. Mind you, I've been when you work local news, you cover high school sports, occasionally a college game. And for me, for the last 5 years, I have been covering nothing but high school. And occasionally I would go to the Iowa State or Iowa Hawkeyes games and cover that. But that would be like as a one man band where you're a local TV news reporter. I'm filming, taping, everything. And then to get to ESPN, because I made the jump from market 103 all the way to the worldwide leader out of nowhere, which I glorify God for because that was all him. It was a little bit of a shell shock, and and I'm open talking about. I did deal with a little bit of an imposter syndrome because God has just dropped this blessing on me out of nowhere, and mentally, I had to, kind of get over that hurdle. It was battles fought within, and I remember the college football playoff in Miami. It was Georgia versus Michigan, and we were outside of Hard Rock Stadium and we had the college game day set. We're doing our pregame show, and I'm on the same stage with Desmond Howard, Mike Golick, and my other coworker Jason Fitz, and we're talking football. And for me, for that moment, it was kind of like, yo, I'm really like out here.
Yeah,
I got the legit set. With everyone that I've been watching my entire career, and I'm talking sports, and it was like, wow, like I'm here. It took some time to sink in. But I think that was a moment where it really hit me because even in the ESPN war room, the WWE wrestler Goldberg was in there watching the game with us. I'm seeing all the other people who work at ESPN in the same place as us. We're all kicking it together, just watching the game. And it was like, damn, like I work here. I can't like these are my colleagues now. I can't I still look up to them, but you know, I need to respect myself as though I'm their colleague and they're equal as well.
for sure, man. Right, that's really inspiring. Okay, if you can give a young man, a young lady, any advice on how to do something better than what you did coming out, or what advice would you give them to give to them, school?
To do something better from when I was coming out of college,
Yeah, to more preparation, say standpoint.
I would say reps, 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 reps are the most important thing. I think it would have made a difference for me to maybe create a really stronger tape of things that I have done before I graduated college. Because once you graduate college, those resources are no longer as convenient as they were before. Where you have the camera, you have the editing equipment, you have the computer, the software, and it's what you're paying for. So while you're in college, get those reps, even if it's outside of your class and you have something that you're interested in filming. If you have that relationship with the leader of the communication department, see if they'll let you use that equipment. Film podcasts. You need to get comfortable with being on air. You need to ask local TV news people if you can shadow them and just see how they do their job and pick up on any little thing. And maybe that connection and relationship can make a difference because in this industry, it is about who you know just as much as what you know, probably even more. And if you can get as much reps just to get comfortable, if you can figure out exactly what you want to do, and if you can understand the markets, because like I said, there's 210 in the country, understand those and where you can start and how you can start. And if starts with your resume reel, create the best resume reel that you possibly can from the day that you set foot in college. Find mentors as you do that and really try to just work on your craft as much as possible early on. So then you're already a couple of ways ahead when you get into your career.
For sure. Man, yeah, let's go ahead. Let's transition right quick, man. Okay, you played football, right? Okay. Me and you had a little conversation last week about the game of football. That is something I'm really passionate about, especially since the college season is going on and the NFL season is going on right now. Okay, from when you last played, how different is the game of football right now? You played receiver, right? How different is it right now compared to then?
I would say that the game is definitely shifting in more of a 7-on-7 base type of format because it's pass friendly and the offenses are people scoring more than ever, and you got to make the game safer. And there have been studies to show how head injuries can't correlate with the game of football. I've had my own fair share of them. From when I played, you would typically see like the wing T formation, jet sweep. I mean, teams are going heavy on the run, and it's because it wasn't as common to have a passing game. But kids are now seeing these Patrick Mahomes, these Josh Allens, and the people who are at the top of the game influencing the masses are great at throwing the ball, at catching the ball, one-handed grabs, all that. That's become really popular. So the game is definitely growing in a sense of offensive scoring, and it's also just becoming more 7-on-7. You're seeing more people throwing the ball. You're seeing more people being able to run the spread offense, and you're seeing the defenses get a little bit smaller when it comes down to outside linebackers so they can guard those slot wide receivers. It's grown and it's changed, but I think it's for the better to make it safer.
For sure. It's for sure has gotten safer. And the linebacker position have for sure gotten smaller. Even some schemes they don't even use linebackers like me and you talked about last week. They put a nickel back in there and a DB, an extra DB on the field. And okay, as a receiver, right? Who do you love in college and in the NFL?
College and in the NFL. All right. So in the NFL, you can't go wrong with Justin Jefferson. With just the way he's one of the best receivers in this generation right now,
Yeah,
and arguably the best. The way that he's so long and explosive, and his ability to be able to go in and out of his breaks is different. Love watching him run routes and the footwork too. It's all really disciplined. He's a disciplined route runner, and he doesn't slow down. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So that's the NFL. In college, who would I say in college right now that's really impressed me? The wide receiver position, I've enjoyed watching um, Malik Neighbors
Mm,
for. You know what? Let's go. Let's go. Tevin Coleman for
mm.
Florida State. Not
Yeah,
Tevin Coleman. Let's go. What's his name? Coleman from Florida State. The transfer. I have to look this up. You're gonna have to edit this part.
hey, yeah. I'm gonna edit it out.
Let's see. Coleman, Florida State.
They got Marvin Harrison Jr. too. He,
Yeah, yeah. Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman. Yeah, yeah. So the easy one to say for college would be Marvin Harrison Jr.,
yeah,
right? Because he's so explosive. He's a son of an NFL player. He understands the game at a high level. He's been coached by someone like his father, and he's already been recorded to run 22 miles per hour. And there's been no player in the NFL to do that. He's a freak beyond freaks. But I've really liked what I've seen from Keon Coleman at Florida State as well, especially against Clemson in the first game against LSU. He's been able to make a difference in this offense, and to get a transfer like him to come in
yeah,
has really helped Jordan Travis escalate his game. You saw him catch the fade route for the game winner
yeah.
against Clemson, and the way that he just froze the receiver
Yeah,
and made sure to stack him up, give about 5 yards to the
yeah,
sideline so the quarterback can have a nice pocket to drop it into. It was all textbook. And sometimes You can have your X's and O's draw it up just as well and have great defense, but it just comes down to that technique and executing it at the right time. And I feel like he just knows where to put himself. And it's not as much freakish athleticism as Marvin Harrison. It's just the art of being a wide receiver that he understands.
Yeah, and I like him too because he's physical too. He's a physical receiver, and he can go get that ball. A 50-50.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And I feel like Coach Norvell, he did a real good job going there. It just took him a little time to get there, get them guys, and really get his guys in for that
Yeah.
program to really take off.
6'4", 216. I mean, he's a big boy.
Yeah.
So
Come on.
the size plays to the advantage here.
Come on now. Let's finally, before we end, let's talk about Colorado, man. Okay. I love the story of Colorado, but how many seasons do you feel it would take Prime to really go to the college playoffs?
Oof. College football playoff. Well, typically it takes a coach about 3 years to establish some type of culture, because that's when the freshmen become the juniors, and the juniors, that's when they kind of grow into that stage of maturation and really become leaders of the team. So I see them becoming that type of contender by year 3. Next year, they're going to grow a lot. When you bring in 86 different transfers, to still be able to produce a culture the way that Dion has, speaks to the type of leader that he is and the way that he can get people motivated and going. I mean, he's a pastor for real, like in the black church type of pastor, always saying the right things and getting you hyped up. And I think if Shedeur stays, which I think he does, next year there'll be a team that will get some eyebrow raising wins. I don't want to say next year, but I think the window for them would be next year.
Yeah,
because you still have an elite quarterback, and we know how the game of football is based on the type of person that you got under center. Next year they could compete. Year 3, let me see who they have under center, and then I'll say Dion has now established his culture for real. But who knows what's going to happen? Maybe he gets another job opportunity somewhere. But he was at Jackson State for 3 years before he ended up, making that move too. 3-4 years, I think it was.
Yeah. And like you said, Shedeur is a big key to getting to the playoffs or not. I would say I heard a lot of people talk about they would talk about like this year. To me, this year is a success anyway for Colorado because look at the hype, the publicity, and then you already beat your record from last year. And I really feel like he can go to a bowl game this year. All you need is 6 wins. That's all you need.
Yeah, I mean, these last 2 weeks were the last 2 weeks were the toughest.
Yeah,
they should win this week against Arizona State. They should be able to beat Stanford. They should be able to beat Cal.
Yeah.
That right there is already 6 wins. Because they got 3. You get those 3, you're in.
That's what I'm saying. Like the next season is really going. We're gonna see what Colorado really can do because the culture, already is in for a year. I say one thing about Travis Hunter, people don't talk about. He tend to be a little injury prone because he was injured last year, man, with Jackson State, and a lot of people haven't really said nothing about that. But he is a little injury prone. But he's a freak athlete, though, But I feel like Travis Hunter, he jumping off right now, but I really feel next year is really when he gonna hit the scene crazy.
Yeah. When I said 3, when I think of them being able to do it, like next year, it's really their window of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because you still have 2 elite players. Edwards is only going to get better. Yes. We saw Marion Miller show up, 7 catches, 192 yards against USC. He hadn't had a catch coming into that game
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he had 10 snaps going into halftime. And then in the second half, he just took off. You know
Took
what I
off.
mean? So there's guys like that that have the capability to go boom. And when you have a coach like Dion who can um, get players to play past their limits, bring the best. Let me bring the best out of you,
Yeah.
because every player has a certain level that they can play at, the highest being here.
Yeah.
And depending on your coach, they can bring you to that level. We see that in so many different places. Even with the Patriots, Bill Belichick always gets guys to play past their potential that everyone else saw, and then they leave to go sign with a different team, and then they're not the same player. It happens all the time. And I think Prime is in that category of being able to coach the best out of certain players. And there's some young guys on this team. You got Shadur, you got Travis Hunter, you got Miller. You still got Shiloh. If he
Yeah.
stays too, you run it back with all those people. And listen, there is going to be a lot of people interested to going over to Colorado. The transfers,
Yeah.
the recruits,
Yes.
they can turn it over really nicely. But now, how much are you going to gut your roster? Because
That's
those kids
true.
have been in the program. You can't gut your roster too much and just tell other kids they got to go. And I don't think Prime is like that.
He ain't like that. I think from how he is planning it out, I already say he already know what guys want. He already want to get. He already
Yeah,
got it. He already got some guys in
you
the.
heard him after the Oregon game, right?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, they enjoy it while you can. But
Yeah.
but what people don't understand, when he came down here to Mississippi and to Jackson State, he said the same thing to the SWAC then. He said, "Y'all got me right now, but wait until I get my players in." And we seen he just dominate. So we know for sure Prime can get them guys. He's an excellent recruiter. That's the main part of coach. I feel like by coaching, recruiting and getting your coach. Once you get them two, you good, man.
Simple
Well,
as that. Simple as that. And Prime, there's just an article that came out about it on ESPN today. The inside Deion Sanders recruiting, and one of the quotes that came out for it is, "He's a really down to earth dude,
yeah,
and you feel that realness." And let's be real. The game of football, a lot of people who are being recruited look like me and you. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
they look like Prime. And
yeah,
when you have Dion Primetime Sanders come into your house as a young black boy, and your parents know exactly who it is, because Primetime is on GOAT type level when it comes down to his accolades in the NFL. And he did it at the highest level in the MLB. Dude playing in the World Series and then playing a game on Sunday. Like it is unheard of.
hey,
And he's getting burned and making plays in both sports. So primetime is known by the OGs. And if you're going to come into an OG's crib whose son is thinking about going to Colorado, I mean, you already got yourself at an advantage over there. And I think Prime is exactly where he needs to be, because he also understands the marketing aspect of it. Um, the way that they put out videos, the way that he's gotten the publicity, coaches are always recruiting. That's what the transfer portal and NIL has changed.
yeah,
The light, as soon as you have a camera in your face, you're recruiting.
yeah.
Simple as that.
So, and that's it for Under the Hood Sports. But we do not end the show without goals. I personally feel if you don't have any goals, where are you going in your life? So, what are 3 goals you have for yourself for the rest of this year, or things you just want to accomplish within your career in life?
Um, One goal for this year that I set for myself at the beginning of the year is to host a sports center. So that's one. Two would be to gain more financial freedom. Your boy got some bills he got to pay, so I
Yeah,
got to pay off some debts. That's another goal. Third goal is to, man, really just be the best version of myself, and that's with reading more books this year. That's with making sure I'm active. That's with making sure I'm taking care of my mental. And I know those are multiple things, but to me, that all kind of falls under one umbrella of self care. And just to make sure that you got all your things in order, because then that puts you in the best position to be successful with everything else in life. So, self care, finances, to get them in order, and career wise, get on a sports center. I've always wanted to do one.
Hey, man. Hey, and it's all going to happen. Just keep going. Hey, man, this is Under the Hood Sports. I'm your host with the most, Johnny Hill. Hey, we are out of here.